Hey guys, welcome back to Kelly's Creations. Oh, I have a fun video for you today. I've been wanting to do this for so long. So I bought this retro refrigerator from Five Below. And it is so stinking cute. And it came with food, but I also am going to probably be utilizing my little wacky food that I got from Big Lots, just for different sizes. So yeah, this retro fridge is so stinking cute. But I knew when I bought it, I wanted to turn it into a creepy witch refrigerator. How fun! So that's what we're going to do today. So I took the fridge out of the package, I took the food out, and now I'm going to pop out the shelves on each door. The freezer door and the fridge. Gonna pop those babies right out. There we go. And I am going to use this awesome green Krylon spray paint. So while that is drying, I'm going to grab my molds and fill them with glue. I didn't want to use clay for this. Glue dries faster, just a faster process. But of course, you can always use clay in your molds. I haven't had much luck with clay. I know, you got to keep trying to get it right. But yeah, I kind of gave up on it for a little while. We're just going to use glue. So I'm going to fill in my molds. You see me kind of abusing that mold a little bit. That's just to get the glue to settle. You also can use a rubber, can't think of it, that little thing I use, silicone, not rubber, silicone, little tool to push the glue where you want it to. I was so excited this year when Dollar Tree came out with apothecary jars with labels. How cute are these? I'm always buying their little jars and making my own, but these are already that perfect color, and those labels are so cute. And oh my gosh, let's have some fun with some slime. This is just black slime from Dollar Tree. And the funnest part is trying to get it into the bottle. Keep going, keep trying, you can do it. Get in there. Yeah, it takes a couple. And you make a little bit of mess, but luckily it's slime, so it cleans up easy. So I put some black slime in one of those little bottles, cleaned it up, set it aside. Now for the next bottle. And this bottle I am going to, I think it was something wool. Oh, I can't remember what the label says. It was something to do with wool. So I just ripped off tops of Q-tips that resembles wool. Can't really see it with that brown bottle anyway. You can just see that something's in it. But I just think it's fun. If you have apothecary jars, you need to fill them up. Even if you can't totally see it, it's still, that's part of the process. It's part of the fun, is filling your apothecary jars to match the label. So we put tops of the Q-tips in that one. This one is trimmed spider hair. So I grabbed some black thread and I just kept pulling and 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 pulling. Okay, whew, we're done. And cut that off. And I'm just going to shove that thread in there, let a little hang out the top, and trim it up to look like trimmed spider hair. So cute. Oh, let's see how it sticks out the top. Love it. This is a close-up. Finally, I don't know why I didn't do a close-up of the other ones, but you got a close-up of that one. And this is Witch's Potion. So for this one, I filled it up with a little bit of glue. And then I came around the edges so that some of the glue would drip down the sides. I'm going to let that thoroughly dry. We're going to come back to this bottle later because it needs to be painted and make it really look like a witch potion. The little drips that come down, I didn't really care where they fell. Even if they fell across the label, that was fine. Up at the top, I kind of wanted to do a little swirly motion to make it look like a potion. It all kind of sank in anyway, so it didn't really give me the effect I wanted, but that's fine. I think this was supposed to be lettuce. This came with the fridge. To me, it kind of looks like some organ. It looks like a brain, but I wanted it the color of a heart. Does that make sense? Even though it kind of it resembles a brain a little bit. But yeah, we did it right. Now this little ketchup bottle. Oh, I got this little package off Amazon. I'll have that link below, but it came with bottles and toppers and labels and metal tags and the cord. Everything to make apothecary jars is in this little box. I was so excited. So now I'm oh, the bottles are actually different sizes too. How fun. And I grabbed some of the skinny bottles. And I'm also going to utilize these labels as well. And I'm going to utilize that little ketchup bottle that came out of the fridge. So right now, I'm putting a mermaid tear label on the first glass jar. And then the second glass jar, I think, is vampire blood or zombie blood. I'm not sure. Something to do with blood is going on the second jar. I'm also going to put a label on that little ketchup bottle, but first we need to paint it. It's way too white and shiny to be in a witch's fridge. So I use some metallic and silver. I'm going to give this a good coat of paint. I'm going to let it dry. I'm also going to come in with my heat gun and get really, really close to it so it bubbles up and looks old and like it's been there forever. This is why I love Halloween, because you can just go crazy and it doesn't have to be perfect, because the imperfections is what makes it look creepy and old, and oh, you just gotta love this time of year. Now, for my mermaid tear, since you can't have an empty apothecary jar, I found blue glitter in my stash. And I actually found this little piece of something that I saved for a mini, and it made a funnel. So I used that to fill my skinny jar. And I put blue glitter inside and all over my desk and my hands and anywhere else glitter can go. But there you go. Mermaid tears, perfect. Now, of course, for the blood, all you gotta do is use red paint. And you have a steady hand and go over the top opening very carefully and do one drip at a time. And can you believe, come on, everybody clap. I want claps right now. So that I know I can't see you do it, but you gotta be clapping right now, because I did not get any of the paint on the outside of the bottle, which is amazing. It all went inside the bottle. So I used a toothpick to kind of smear it around and get it all over like it's been used. Set that baby aside to dry. There it is. So cute. Oh my gosh. So now it's time to put my brain heart on a stand. Or organ. I don't know what we're going to call it. It just looked creepy, and I knew it would be perfect painted red. So I glued it to one of my mini mirrors so that it would stand up without rolling over, because it's awful when your brains roll out of your refrigerator. We don't want that to happen. So glue that down to the mirror. And I came in with Barnyard Red, and I kind of went over the lines that were on here, and I came in with black, and I just kind of dabbed in between to kind of highlight that there is lines on this and that it came out of something or someone, and now it's going in my fridge. So that's what I'm doing right now. That's looking good. So I am going to go back to that bottle, take my heat gun. I'm going to get as close as I can without touching it, and we're going to make that paint bubble up. It gets all bubbly, ooey gooey. Look at it. Ooh, perfect. And gives it a really cool effect, as you can see. Oh, I love it. Couldn't have done that freehand. So that's where your heat gun comes into play. Now we're going to take out those molds. Look how easy they come out. If those were clay, I would be breaking them in half and struggling. But with glue, they just pop right out. And I'm going to set all of the molds. I'm not sure which ones I'm going to use, but I'd rather have more dry than less, so we're going to paint them all. I don't end up using them all, but that's okay. This color was really, really close to the color that I spray painted the fridge, so I'm going to just give all of these molds just one coat of this pretty green paint. They're looking gorgeous. So I set those aside to dry and I grabbed the inserts that I took off of the doors. Now these were yellow and that just wasn't going to work for my witch fridge. So I grabbed my silver rub and buff and I am going to do a coat of silver all over both inserts and make them look metallic and silverish and old. And then we're going to come in with the gold and start highlighting edges with the gold rub and buff to make it look rusted and creepy and yucky and all that good stuff. All that good stuff that you would find in a witch's fridge. I love coming in with that gold rub and buff. You can put like a heavier dab down and then use your finger and kind of smooth it out. It really just gives that rusted. It highlights all of like the embellishments on it. Yeah, it went from looking new and clean to really old and rusted, which I love. Now, that color that I spray painted it is really close to this, but since I am going to be adding embellishments on the front of the fridge, I thought it would be good just to take some of the color that I did, the embellishments, and go around like the handles and the edges of the fridge, the hinges of the fridge, just to kind of tie in both greens together. I will come in with gold rub and buff too, because we got to make this creepy and old. And I keep saying that. You guys need to count how many times I say vintage and old in this video. How many times did Kelly say that? But that's the effect I'm going for. So, of course, I want it to look rusted and dinged up and, you know, old and vintage. So I go around all the edges and tie that green color in. Now, I found this awesome skull in my stash, and I had to cut him basically in half because I wanted him to lay flat on the door. And it was actually, once I got the initial hole cut, it was pretty easy to cut through this plastic. And I'm just cutting off the back of it so that I have a flat surface. So once I did that, then I'm like, okay, how am I going to glue this to my fridge? And I was just looking, don't laugh at me. I was just looking for anything I could shove in the skull to have a backing on it. And so, yeah, I grabbed some Christmas balls. And I'll show you that in a second because we're going to put the embellishments on now. The fridge said retro. Oh gosh, my hair's in the, I'm so sorry. Move, Kelly, move. Get out of the way. Back up. There we go. Okay, so I glued the biggest embellishment over where it said retro because I didn't want that on the fridge. And then I grabbed my little snowballs and I just put some glue in and then I shoved some snowballs into his skull so that I could have something on the back of this to attach it to the fridge. I'm sure you could use other things. That's what I had on hand and it worked. I glued those inside and then I came back and I put some glue on top of those balls and I stuck my cute little skull head right in the center of the refrigerator door. And I was so happy when I found this in my stash because I had an image of my head of what I wanted the door to look like, and it had my image in my head had a skull, but I didn't know if I had one. So it was so nice when things actually work out in your favor. And it was the perfect size too. So once I had him in place, I finished the rest of my embellishments because I wasn't sure if I was going to do all the corners with the corners. All the corners with the corners. Okay, you understand, right? All the corners with the corner embellishments. I decided no, that would be too much. So I just did the two bottom corners with the corner embellishments. And then I did right underneath the skull with another long one. And I think that was enough and that was perfect to get the effect I wanted. making sure my door's still open and closed there, because my paint I realized was still a little tacky. And now I'm going to come in around the skull and I'm going to tie that in with the green. I decided to do something different, and so I really didn't need to do this part. But, why not do more work? That's the story of my life, right? So I did come in around the skull with the green because at this moment in time, I wasn't going to add anything else to it. So we're going to pop these door inserts back in. I just love how they turned out. What a transformation. Oh my gosh. It's like so different already. I'm loving it. And luckily, they just pop back into place, which was nice because you never know when you're crafting it, things are going to work the way they should. And there's actually a little drawer that goes in that fridge as well. So I come in with my gold rub and buff and add that to the embellishments. It really makes them pop and stand out. Oh my gosh. I put it on the handle. I put it around the edges. And we're going to make this look, say it with me, vintage, old, rusty, worn out witch's fridge. I just love me some rub and buff. You just go crazy with it, but it really just makes everything stand out. And look how cute that is. It just looks like it belongs in a witch house, doesn't it? So now the fun part, fill in your fridge. So we're going to take the brain heart and put it on the top shelf, front and center, plus it was one of the only spaces it would fit. So it worked out perfect putting it there. And I'm going to come in with one of my apothecary bottles, and basically where they're going is where they'll fit in the fridge. So I could fit 2 of those beautiful knitted bottles on the second shelf. That's where they're gonna go. But we forgot to paint the witch's brew. So, well, we didn't. I did. I came in and I painted it with a coat of that green paint because witch's brew in my head is green. And then I came in with a little bit of red and I dabbed around the green with the red because, again, in my head, witch's brew is green and red. You do it any color you want, but it really turned out cool. I like how the dripping down the sides, like it's bubbling over, and we're gonna let that dry a little bit before I add it to the fridge, and I'm gonna come back in and put a different bottle on that second shelf. So here we go. Little bit of glue, and I stuck that bottle down. I know that glass and glue don't really like each other. I'm hoping this will stay because I am adding other stuff as well. As you can see right now, the drawer is in the bottom. That's going to come into play. I took that one of the labels and I put it on the ketchup bottle, and I'm going to glue that on the shelf of the door because it fits there. And that's where ketchup should go, I guess, in a witch's fridge. I don't know how many use ketchup, but my witch does. So that drawer on the bottom of the fridge is going to hold the fairy light box. And I got these mini lights off of Amazon. The link will be down below if you want to check them out. I think they come 10 in a pack. They also have 3 different speeds. And I'm going to maneuver the wires around the shelves and tuck them into each cubby. And then what's great is you just open the bottom drawer and reach in and you can turn your lights on and off. Because when you open the door of the fridge, what happens? The light comes on. So of course there had to be light in my fridge. I had ordered a bunch of stickers, the apothecary labels. I love the ones that are stickers because you don't have to glue them down. And now what you're going to see me do is I'm going to take some of my wacky food, and I'm also going to take some of the food that came with the fridge and grab a label, center it where I want it to show on the package, and I'm just going to fold it like a Christmas present, which I'm not very good at wrapping Christmas presents, so you can see right here. Yeah, it worked though. That's all that matters. It doesn't matter how you get there as long as when you get there, it looks the way you wanted it to. That's my motto, okay? So I just wrap it. I know I could have trimmed it and all that good stuff. I understand that. But I'm gluing the back down. You're not going to see the back anyway. So please don't leave me a comment that I could have cut it. I know I could have. I didn't want to. So we're going to glue that on the door as well. And I'm going to do this to a few more items for my fridge. And I'll be back in a second. Oh, everything is working out so perfect. I love that. I know I had problems with that one piece, trying to figure out where I was going to put it. I actually just turned it on its side because I don't think the witches are too OCD about what's in their fridge. And then that other little box up in the corner fit perfectly there. I thought it would be neat to put one of these labels on the outside of the fridge as well. So I found one that had a black crow on it, which I absolutely love crows, and I put the label on the outside of the fridge. I came in with some distressing ink and I went around that white to make it old and dull, and that white was just way too bright for this project. So using that brown distressing ink, I dabbed and dabbed and dabbed and dabbed and dabbed and rubbed and rubbed and rubbed and rubbed until I got the look I wanted. The more you dab and rub, the darker some areas get, which I really liked, so I made some of the areas darker. Then I came in with the distress ink, and there was a little water bottle, and I thought I would leave that water label on it, but use that distress ink to darken it up and make it look old and creepy. So I went around the label, and I also went around the white, and then I added that to the fridge as well. So I put that on the door, and then there was a little butter packet that came with the fridge, and when I took the label off, it had slots in it. Oh, that was just an added bonus. I'm like, okay, what do I have that I could put in the slots? So I went into my little trinket bag, and can you believe there was a hatchet in there? Oh my goodness. I was like so excited. You can't see it in the video. I know my hands don't look excited, but I was very, very, very excited. So I took my distress ink and I distressed that little white box with the slats in it. And I put my little hatchet in the slats, standing up, and then glued it to the second shelf because it ties in with my brain heart. How did the witch remove that with no tools? And I know she's keeping her tools in the fridge, but that's where I wanted them. That way she has it. When she wants a chunk of brain heart, she just uses her hatchet, right? You got to think outside the box when you're a witch. So yes, it went in my fridge. Little backstory. I guess I got a little carried away, but that's okay. And next to the hatchet, what would you have? You would have skeleton legs or pieces of skeleton legs. The skeleton legs came off of a skeleton garland from Dollar Tree, and I did a few amputations of my skeleton and just cut the bones, and I glued them next to my box with my hatchet because I just thought that tied it all in. I also glued some bones up next to my brain heart and just made a little pile of bones in the fridge because I don't know, every witch's house I've ever been to, when you open their fridge, there's bones in there. It just is. So you have to have bones in your fridge. So I made a little pile of bones up top. I'm always making sure my doors open and close. I am not putting anything in the freezer. Everything is going in the refrigerator. So the freezer is empty. Now this was a milk carton that came with it, and it was being a little booger, and I couldn't get the wrapper off. But that was a happy accident because with some of the wrapper being on there, when I used the distress ink, it just made it perfect because it made the wrapper darker than the bottle. It just worked out. Then I found a label that had a skeleton or a skull head on it. So after I was done distressing my milk jug, I put a skull face on it. And then I cut that label that I cut up to get the skull face. There was writing on it. I used that on another one. So I was like pretty much utilizing everything. If I cut it up, I utilized it. I love these labels. I can't wait to make more apothecary jars because it's just so much fun making those jars. So once I found my label, added my skull, put the writing on another one, my fridge is coming together very nicely. I had a little spider trinket and I thought that would be cute on the drawer because the drawer was kind of lacking. I needed something on the drawer as well. So I just hot glued that to the front of the drawer. And then I came in with some Spanish moss and filled in the gaps because I just thought moss was belonged in a witch's fridge. It probably was growing mold and moss in her fridge. It's so disgusting in there. Plus, it hides the strings from my lights. So I tried to kind of fill that moss in wherever you could see the string from my little mini lights. And I added moss into all the little gaps. And I added moss also to the drawer, and that kind of tied everything in together inside my fridge. To add all that moss, all I was doing was using crafter's glue and just squeezing the glue in and adding the moss where I wanted. That's when I got the idea that I should also add some moss around the skull. And at the beginning of this video, when I said I was painting around it, I didn't have this idea. So that's why I had painted. I even added rub and buff around it because I didn't come up with this idea until I was adding the moss inside. But I love the addition of the moss around the skull head. I think it makes it even more creepy. It makes him pop out or her pop out. I don't know if it's a he or a she. It makes my skull pop out even more and gives it more of that creepy vibe. So I went back to my garland and pulled my little skeleton head off. I'm so sorry, feller. And I wanted one more little skull head inside my fridge. I used my what did I use? The stuff I've been using the whole time, and I just went blank. I'm so sorry. But you saw me use it before, so it's okay. So anyway, that little skeleton head went on the top shelf of the door. Now I grabbed a larger skeleton hand that you can get at Dollar Tree, and I am going to add stuff to the top of the fridge as well. I know I have tons of stuff on top of my fridge, so I figured the witch probably had tons of stuff on hers too. So I glued that skeleton hand down. He's kind of going to be a little base for my cloche. Once I had that glued down, I added a little bit more glue, and I added a little bit of the Spanish moss in the palm of his hand. Then I take another skeleton head and I glue that down to the Spanish moss. And then I can put my glass cloche on top of it all. I add a little bit more glue going all around it, and then I add my glass cloche over the skeleton head and glue it down to the moss. And I'm talking faster than the video is going. Hurry up, Kelly. Come on. Get that glue down. There we go. So glue, cloche. There we go. I just thought the skeleton hand made a really cute base for the cloche. Now I'm going to grab the little Mermaid Tears apothecary jar and the Vampire Blood apothecary jar, and I'm going to glue those down to the top of the fridge as well. They were a taller bottle and they weren't going to fit into the fridge, so they were a perfect addition for the top of the fridge. I'm going to grab my witch's potion, I'm going to glue that down, and I'm going to glue my spider hair, trim spider hair jar down as well. Now Dollar Tree also sold larger, taller apothecary jars, and I am going to take one of those and I'm going to glue it behind everything. And yes, I know, I am not filling this jar. I know, I told you should never have an apothecary jar that's not filled. And I'm sitting here thinking, oh gosh, and I just couldn't do it. Psych, I did fill it. Okay, so I took some of very old slime that had hardened, and it was just jelly slime now. And I ripped it apart and I just put it in the apothecary jar. I was going to leave it empty, but that would go against everything I've said. If you have an apothecary jar, you have to fill it. So yes, I ended up filling it with that slime, and then I add it to the top of the fridge. To make this look even creepier, I grabbed some spider web and I kind of just draped the spider web all around the top of the fridge, and I added a little craft glue and just stuck the spider web into the glue so it would stay put. And I think that just ties it all in, and it gives that dusty, creepy vibe on top of the fridge, so the spider web was a good addition. I also added a thin layer of spider web on the skull on the front, attaching it to that Spanish moss and just kind of draping it over the skull head on the front of the fridge as well. And I think that's it. What a transformation. Oh my gosh, you would never guess that this was a retro fridge from Five Below. I absolutely love how this turned out. I love the witch's theme. I love the apothecary jars, as you all know. I love the vintage old creepy vibe of the fridge. It turned out better than I had imagined. I've been wanting to do this project for so long, and I finally did it, and I'm so happy to share it with my friends. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Leave a comment below what you like the most. I love hearing from you guys. Leave a comment if you guys are going to be trying this. If you're new to my channel, thank you so much for watching this video, and I appreciate you. And if you want to, hit that subscribe button, ring that bell for future notifications. As always, I hope you guys are having a blessed and wonderful day, and I'll be back next week with another spooky Halloween video. Have a great week, guys. Love y'all. Bye.